Earlier this year, I reviewed the Buick Envista. It was in the Avenir trim, and it was kind of a hard recommendation, around $28,000, maybe even more. But what I'm reviewing here is the same car, but in the ST or the Sport Touring trim, and crazy deals are happening on this specific Korean-made Buick. It's one of the best buys here in 2024, and today we're going to find out why. I mentioned I reviewed the Envista Avenir earlier this year, but I also reviewed its sister vehicle, which is the Chevy Trax. Now, this can be had for around the same price as the Trax, and I think it's a more attractive vehicle inside, and well, it's very similar on the inside, but especially on the outside, it's a more attractive vehicle than that Chevy Trax. So we're gonna pop the hood here and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this powertrain. You know, when we're talking about a car that can be had for around $22,000, maybe a little bit more in this Sport Touring trim, we're not going to have the world's most impressive powertrain. This is a small 3-cylinder turbo, 1.2 liter, 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, but it is not mated to a CVT like most of its competition. It is front wheel drive only, so it's really meant for city driving. The best fuel economy I've seen is about 37 miles per gallon in town, but overall you'll probably be around 30 miles per gallon. This is an absolutely beautiful car. We got the new Buick Tri-Shield logo. Here's the ST, the Sport Touring grade. The front end does look very similar, I would say, to the Avenir. And actually it looks very similar to other Buicks in the lineup, but it does look pretty upscale with the glossy black around the wheel arches, the bottom of the car. These large glossy black wheels here. It's sitting on 19s. We're in 19-inch wheels on a low $20,000 car. Tons of street presence and design. The design on this to me is more like a $35,000 vehicle. And unlike the Avenir version of this, we have a blacked out window surrounds. I think it looks more premium overall than the more expensive Avenir. Let's go ahead and get in the back of this kind of coupe-like crossover style vehicle. ST badge here, and this is one of the ways I think this looks a lot better than the Trax that I reviewed last week. The rear tail lights here look so much more upscale, more premium than we had on that Chevy Trax. I like this because I remember reviewing the Avenir. The Avenir badging I think was on this side, and it was just as big as the Envista. So people, in my opinion, you don't really know what you're looking at. Is it an Envista or an Avenir? Here there's no questioning that this is an Envista here. All right, lifting up the lift gate here, lots of cargo space, very functional hatchback, got a spare tire down there as well. What else can I say? You can fold down the seats, about all the practicality you're gonna need. Now, I even have an automated lift gate. I don't remember that happening on the Chevy Trax. Guys, for the low $20,000, the amount of features in this vehicle is hard to believe. Also, these doors don't feel cheap when you're slamming them. They have a nice thud to them, and then also you have smart key access in the front. Opening the rear door here, it's pretty basic materials, but at least we have a soft touch for the armrest. And blue stitching, I guess that is one of the themes here on the Sport Touring. And the blue does kind of contrast well with this beautiful copper color on the outside. Just one mat pocket, soft back to seats, but look at this legroom. And completely flat floor here, just like the Chevy Trax. That's one of the benefits of not having all-wheel drive as an option, is you don't have to sacrifice some legroom back here with the propeller shaft. Also USB-C and USB-A for the rear passengers. No, I don't have vents. That would be asking too much for a vehicle this price point, but I don't have any like cup holders or anything here either. But here, even with this aggressive roof line, I do have good headroom here. My head's not touching the roof. I have handles up here, map lights, pretty nice. I could definitely see myself back here for a long period of time. Oh, the child locks are on. Uh-oh. Oh, good. The child lock was not enabled on the other seat. And you can just see how much metallic comes through on this paint. And you know what? I'm not seeing any orange peel. So they're doing a really good paint job over in Korea for this vehicle. All right, into the front seat, we have, just like the back seat, but we have an ST badge here, more blue stitching, more piping. And this is kind of that synthetic leather that fools me. I think it's really, really comfortable. All right, we also have your automatic lift gate, which you can open it up to 3/4 height or max height. That's nice if you're in a garage. No memory seats, but I'm not expecting that. Nice stitching here on the door. Materials here, hard touch plastic on the top, but we got a little bit more of a a nice garnish here for styling. All right, stitching on the dash, soft touch all the way around, except all the way in the back, but no one's going to be touching that. 11-inch screen here, and I believe this is an 8-inch screen here, which is customizable, and these screens are standard even on the base preferred grade. Volume knob here. I actually have a heated steering wheel and heated seats. Look how simple this climate control is. It's fantastic. I actually have fan control, automatic. Now it's not dual or tri-zone climate control, just pretty basic, but that's perfectly fine for me in such a small vehicle. I don't feel like it's small on the inside though. I feel like I have lots of room. I like the leather wrapped steering wheel. Guys, for low 20s, getting a steering wheel of this quality is pretty fantastic. Even the stitching here is pretty decent for the price point. I've seen much more expensive vehicles with worse stitching on the leather steering wheel, so well done, Buick. We do have radar cruise control here. We have blind spot monitor. Headroom up in front is really good. I do have a sunroof. I will say when I was driving at night, it would have been nice to have a dimming rear view mirror as well as side mirrors, but they are not dimming. We have a USB-A and USB-C as well as a wireless charger. Go ahead and check in the description down below for MagTame. These cables, they're magnetic and they're super reliable. I'll do a full review on them here in the coming days, but I'm looking for cables that are very clean on the interior. Look at this, like I can just fold it back up and it kind of sticks to itself and makes for a very clutter-free interior. So I really appreciate the MagTame cables. Go ahead and check them out in the description and get a nice discount as well with my promo code. Traditional shifter here, a little bit of storage in the arm compartment. Guess what? There's actually some felt down here at the bottom to prevent your belongings from rattling around. A little bit of glossy black here and there, but for a vehicle this price point, it doesn't bother me. So let's say we start driving the incredibly well-priced Buick Envista Sport Touring. Again, traditional lever here. Also, no, we don't have a 360 camera, but this is a pretty high resolution backup camera here. In terms of rear parking sensors, I believe that's one of the reasons you would upgrade to like the Avenir version of this, but honestly, I'm perfectly happy with not having parking sensors and saving, I think it was like $6,000 over the Avenir. And I just have a lot of safety built in, I have a lot of technology built in. I really don't need to spend all that extra money on a car that also looks worse in my opinion with the Avenir compared to this Sport Touring model. All right, let's get into the brakes real quick. Not a whole lot of feedback, but the car stops fairly well and fairly linear, a little bit spongy, but I can't complain too much. There is auto stop start going right now, and when I'm looking for auto stop start, I'm wondering if the AC is going to be blowing cold, and it's still blowing fairly cold even though the engine was off. So this is the strength of the engine, not necessarily acceleration, but specifically acceleration below 50 miles an hour. The torque really helps motivate this vehicle with the turbocharged little 3-cylinder. It gets up and goes quick, but then you run out of steam around 45, 50 miles an hour. So it's really designed to be an in-car or in-town car. It's going to be perfect for speeds, I would say under 60 miles an hour. If you're taking this a lot on the interstate, I would be looking for a vehicle with more top end power, closer to around 200 horsepower. Something like a Mazda CX-30 non-turbo would probably fit the bill in comparison to something like this. And I'm just cruising here about 50 miles an hour. No annoying wind noise, and that's something I was getting a little bit on the Chevy Trax last week, which costs very similar to this, maybe just a little bit less. I'm not getting any of that weird windshield wind seepage that I was getting last week with the Chevy Trax. So it also seems pretty quiet in here, even with the 19-inch wheels. The ride quality, I would say it's perfectly fine for the price point, if not exceeding my expectations for the price point. So sound removal, ride quality. What about handling? Well, I don't want to handle it or throw it in the turns too hard. I do have some coffee here, which the cup holders are very, very nice in here. But let's go and throw it in the turn anyways and see what it feels like. Yeah, it feels good, honestly. It feels pretty light. I know it's around 3,200 pounds. It feels lighter in the turns than the Mazda CX-30 Turbo that I'm also driving this week, which in some ways this is in the same segment, but since this vehicle costs a heck of a lot less, it's hard to compare it to, and the powertrains here just can't compare to Mazda's. Even Mazda's base powertrain, this can't hold a candle. Mazda's standard all-wheel drive, so it really isn't a different segment, but honestly, this is a really hard vehicle to just sleep on if you're looking for a low $20,000 lifted hatchback crossover thing that looks good, is equipped well, handles well. As long as you don't plan on taking it on the interstate that much with its limited 137 horsepower or so, I think this is going to be a great city vehicle for a lot of people out there. Honestly, I'm finding a lot of things. I even have a telescopic steering wheel here that tilts too. General Motors has figured something out with building this vehicle as well as a Chevy Trax in Korea. They are not only seemingly built well, but in terms of value per money, I don't know if there's a better buy on the market right now in the low $20,000. Obviously, cars have gotten more expensive over the years, but this vehicle, I feel like I'm getting so much safety tech, styling, and overall package here is just so good that if this vehicle came in around the upper 20s, I would say it would be a good buy then. And even at the low 20s here, it's just something no customer should be sleeping on. Especially if you're mainly just driving around town. It's perfectly adequate. You can save a little bit more money and get the preferred trim. I think it looks kind of dorky. You will get slightly better fuel economy since the wheels are much smaller, but upgrading to this to get the extra like heated seats and heated steering wheel and getting the nice wheels and the better appearance on the outside, it's a hard vehicle to pass on. I also reviewed recently a Nissan Sentra that those vehicles can be found for around $18,000 right now. Also an amazing buy if you are happy with driving a sedan. That vehicle handles a little bit better than this. It's a little bit quicker with its larger engine, and fuel economy is better on that Sentra as well. It just doesn't have the flexibility or the height of this seat. This will be great for people who like to sit up a little bit higher, maybe not have the greatest flexibility either to sit in a sedan. So something like this is a really, really good buyout on the market right now. Let's get around this Nissan Leaf. The downshifts are quick too. That's something I remember from the Chevy Trax last week. Like, it pulls hard to pretty good in town to around 50, 60 miles an hour. As a city car, it has all the power I could want, to be honest. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this Buick Envista, especially in the sport touring trim that can be had for one of the better buys on the market right now. And I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Again, check out MagTame down in the description below to get a nice discount on these really tidy and reliable USB cables for your Android Auto, your charging, things like that. So guys, I'll catch you in the comments and have a great day. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this.